What up, YouTube? I am back in beautiful New York City. It's like an actually hot day today, so I feel as a Californian, going through the seasons every year in New York, it changes you, right? But we are here. I'm about to meet with my boy, the one and only Raj Kotecha of the UK and Dubai. My friends, your friends, one of the OGs of content marketing and somebody I really respect. So let's go catch up with him and let's see what he's up to. He just pulled up. He's grabbing a cup of coffee and we'll get straight into it. But just to get back at it, one of those guys. It's just like a pleasure whenever I get to see him. You know what I mean? There he is. There he is. You can thank this guy for the monstrosity of Dev's vlogs.
Should we put it on? If we put it on this side, you worry about someone snatching it?
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah. Should we do it this way? There we go. What is happening? What is happening?
Over here, bro.
This comes with a slightly wide adapter as well.
I think I got it.
You do, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
What's happening?
Yo, so I already did the cold intro while you were walking up here, so we don't have to do any of that. But like I said, this guy is the reason for the vlogging. It took me years. I've known him for so long, but it took me years to actually fucking do it. And if it wasn't for him, I probably would have never, right? Like, how does it feel to be the guy that gets a lot of other people to start creating content, bro?
It's good because it creates a tribe. I don't see it as a series of I told you so moments, although I have said that to a lot of people. But I think once other people are empowered with the ability to make content and make their thoughts stretch and scale across the whole world, that makes them better. Puts them in a position of more opportunities. It helps them scale. It costs them nothing. And then when we think about it as like a worldwide click, me and you have got a lot of mutual friends. We don't just see each other in one country. We see each other all over the world. And every single time that we do that, we're bringing more of an artillery, more of a force with us. And if content is one of the ways that helps you achieve that, then more power to you, man. And congratulations on starting. I've been enjoying it from day one.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate that because it's exactly what it is, man. Like, I'm trying to get other people to start, documenting. It's like I'm trying to get people to get away from this whole idea of creating content because it becomes like a chore, right? We're already doing so many dope things. I get to travel the world, work with artists, work with founders, right? And it's already super fucking dope, right? And I just needed to start turning on the camera and start talking to people, and that's all this is, right? What was the moment that you realized content was going to change everything? Because I gave them the intro. I talked about some of the stuff with Russell, some of the stuff with Gary, but what was that moment where you knew this was going to take over the world?
So I was a nightlife promoter, and so promotion from the 90s was essential to get people to come into my clubs and bars. So I realized that the flyer itself was content, and what we put on it and how thoughtful we are about what makes it to that is really important. I used to, like most Indian promoters, put a million different things on there, from drinks offers to price of what time you come in. And through studying, I realized that actually less is more. You need to build a bit of intrigue and just keep it high level. That's no different now to the way that people plan their content on YouTube. If you flood too much in your content, it's almost too much for people to process. So you've got to be thoughtful about the way the information is distributed. Now, the aha moment around digital is when I first moved back to London, or when I first moved to London in 2005, I was looking for work before I started my company. And I went to a bunch of interviews. And during that time, I was asked to go to Canada by Rogers Wireless to do a nationwide TV tour. And when we wrapped up at all these breakfast TV shows, nationwide and regional TV stations, I noticed that the PR person that was flying me around to all these different cities across the country was picking up a CD-ROM. And I said to him, every station we go to, they hand you a CD-ROM. What's on there? Is it the footage of what I just did? He was like, yeah. I was like, can I have a copy? He was like, no. I was like, but, at least let me show my mom. Who's going to believe that I was on TV? And then he agreed. And he said, but you must not upload this to online video platforms. It wasn't even called YouTube back then. It was like new media. And it was a fight between Google Video, Vimeo, MySpace Video. Anyway, of course, I went ahead and uploaded it when I got back to England, and job offers came rolling in. So for me, it was a case of me either going to interviews in scenario one saying, this is what I know and this is what I've done, versus this is what I know, this is what I've done, and here's video evidence. And that then propelled me. And then I was like, okay, there's a relationship between the content I put out and the opportunities I get. That then extended into like music, that extended into like the celebrity world, the e-commerce world, and now corporate and founder-led stuff, which is where my focus is.
Go grab your coffee, or did you grab coffee?
She's bringing it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's exactly. I think I've had that moment recently because like new stuff is constantly coming in now. Like I have like 75 subscribers, but potential business and business is already coming in because like I've decided to just put it out there, right? So thank you, bro.
75 people that have given you intent.
Yes, exactly.
See, it's crazy, right? Like, if we stand here in New York right now and I click my fingers, and 75 people stand next to you,
It's huge.
people are like, "Oh, it's a viral moment," like, right? People now, obviously, you've got to down adjust that for subscribers online. It's not the same, but it does become that because it's 75 today, it'll be 150 tomorrow, it'll be 1,500 in a year, whatever it may be. And again, you're not out there as you could with your figure. You know, you could be showing your six pack and your muscles, and you'd be blowing up. You'd be blowing up much quicker. But what you're putting out is thoughtful, intentional strategy, media content, digital content, and talking about a world which has been changing for the last 20 years, which is the music industry. And so those 75 people on a intellect adjusted basis is the equivalent of you having 7,500, because I'd much rather have 75 hardcore people, of which 20% are decision makers, than thousands and thousands of followers, many of which are just watching because you're just another TV channel to them.
Bars. Straight bars.
Yeah.
You know, you put it in such like a good, easy to understand and intentional and
Thanks, my love.
intellectual way that like, you know, that shit helps. That shit helped me figure it out. And it became that moment, I think, like, as soon as I did, that first day I did, I was like, what am I doing? It was Jan 9th. It was literally, I saw you in Dubai last December 15th for Soul DXB, right? And I was like, why am I not, like, properly talking about this stuff? This stuff is fucking dope. Like, just break down the barrier. I was, like, trying to think about how I could break down the barriers of, you know, all the travel, all the work I was doing. And then I came back to New York. I started going heavy into like all the consulting stuff again, and then into the content creation and just documenting some of the conversations I was having. But I thought, you know, I was going to be doing a lot more travel. You know, lo and behold, the whole world kind of blew up with war, and I sat still, and I just like, I kind of got stuck in a little bit of like, oh shit, what should I be doing right now? And I took a little break. I took a little break from documenting and creating this content, and I realized that this is probably the highest leverage thing I could have been doing this whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I started in content, like Team Backpack, that was like all content creation around rappers. And like, if I think back now, it's like the only way to drive my own narrative is is doing these types of conversations and like kind of owning my own narrative, right? So that's what I tell everyone. So it's like, if you really want to market yourself, you know, first of all, watch his content, just check out his Instagram, Raj Kotecha, and, you know, kind of figure out what your thesis is and then just go for it.
Well, let me break down what I showed to my clients. Imagine you've got an axis, right? On this axis, you've got engagement, like period, online, offline, whatever. And on this, you've got time, January to December. There are times where you have high engagement. Right now is the highest engagement we can have. We're sat down having a coffee, we're going to have a conversation, and we're super high and we're super engaged. Then there'll be a time where you're in Mykonos over the summer and you're waving a towel over your head, and I'm like asleep in London. The content is filling those valleys because we have high engagement, low engagement. In those low engagement moments, the question is, what content can I scatter in? And one of the most interesting things is I was working in the hospitality space, foreign direct investment and travel and tourism pre-COVID. And I built a media division for a company. And within that events portfolio, there were some that were really keen on content, others that weren't. And bear in mind, they had the CEO of Four Seasons, Sheraton, Hilton, all those companies inside their rooms. The vertical that made content survived COVID.
Sure.
Because their brand stayed relevant even though they couldn't put thousands of people in a room. And then when the market bounced back, they were ready. And so even for me as well, as you know, like, you know, I have 50% of my book 50% of my business is in Dubai, which has now gone to zero. But at the same time, I'm going to continue to feed my Dubai community and my customers content so that when things do settle down, they don't feel like, you know, it's out of sight, out of mind. And one of the most beautiful things about that is the fact that I can still pull up in the city. We did a My Friends, Your Friends, obviously a few weeks ago. And that was my first time in 2 years doing it there, and 550 people showed up. So it's like, you've got to continue to nurture your community and add value to them. And online is the only way to really do that.
More bars. Yeah, no, and it's the conversation. I saw an article in The Economist yesterday, like every company needs to be a media company now, right? That's what they're saying. And every boss, every CEO needs to be a fucking media star, right? So like, you were onto something, you've been onto something, and it's just like, if it must feel good that like you see it now and it's all coming together, and it's just like, it means more business for you, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So I before you got here, I talked a little bit about My Friends, Your Friends, and I thought, like, because I had the pleasure of being a guest and like invited to this and highlighted in New York City, in Toronto, pulled
and
up
Dubai, right?
and Dubai, yeah, actually, and Dubai, yeah. And it was thanks to him, like I got this crazy network. Thanks to Mozzie and thanks to you, I have this crazy this crazy network. But talk a little bit about My Friends, Your Friends, and like what that in real life connection has done, especially in the years after COVID, because I thought that was groundbreaking. Like no one was really doing that, and like I still haven't seen too many people do that.
My Friends, Your Friends in real life. The thing about My Friends, Your Friends and why it's authentic to me and why I think it's probably one of our better performing brands is because I started out there. I started out, as I mentioned, as a nightlife promoter, walking up to 10, 12 girls that are way out of my league being like, hey, will you pay money to come to my venue, right? So already that kind of respect for in real life has always been important to me. And I understand that that's where a lot of that connection is done, because actually there's no reason why any of those people would want to come and hang out with me in the club until you have that IRL engagement with them. I don't think there's any content in those days that would have converted them. Yeah. So I understand that that's very special. And I think with regards to pre and post COVID, I had a very surreal moment where somebody came up to me at the first My Friends, Your Friends post-COVID, and they were welling up with tears. And I was like, what's going on? And they were like, this is the first time I've been out since COVID. I was like, that's brilliant. I'm so glad that you chose us as your safe space post-COVID to come out and meet people in real life. And she was like, no, but that's not the point. The point is that the last time I went out was My Friends, Your Friends. Like My Friends, Your Friends sandwiched COVID for her. Wow. It was like the last thing she went to, world lockdown, the first thing she felt safe coming back to. I also was at a food spot, saw this beautiful couple. They came over and said hi. And I said, what's going on with you guys? They go, oh, we just got married. I was like, oh, wonderful. They were like, we met at My Friends, Your Friends. I was like, these are all the kind of things. And the weird thing is, you come from a world where a lot of attribution is, thought through. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. A lot of attribution is very, very important. I have no attribution on My Friends, Your Friends. I literally pay for it using this Apple Pay in my pocket right here. And what comes of it, comes of it. But for me, I'm looking for like a net positive. I'm looking for one dev style relationship every 10 years. And that makes it super worthwhile for me. So I think right now, as well as we see AI going onto social media platforms, effectively, AI is the diabetes or the cancer of the gluttony of content. And what's happened is now, unfortunately, the very same thing that Meta and all these platforms have done to create these platforms where engagement happens are now going to get flooded by their own pollution, their own toxicity. Now, the concern there is that, especially for me as a business owner, is that if my job is to make sure that people go onto Instagram and look at my founders and look at the businesses that I support, if people don't fundamentally go to Instagram because they feel like it's full of AI, then they don't even arrive at the town where my customer has a storefront. And that's a big threat. Now, people be like, oh, but that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. I'm like, look, motherfucker, like it happened with Facebook. Yeah. All it took was a bunch of 58-year-olds to flood on Facebook and start talking about baskets and selling sofas, and all the cool kids left. So if your own parents can't keep you on a platform, then what is AI slop going to do, especially at a time where there is so much conflict happening in the world? So if you go, I don't want to go there anymore. And that's the reason why we're seeing an increase in group chats on iMessage and WhatsApp, because we'd much rather have little nano social networks that we control, where we share our own content and share our own thoughts freely, than these mass platforms. I don't think it's over for TikTok. I don't think it's over for Instagram. But as with tapes coming out after vinyl, CDs coming out after tapes, the ratio changes of where we allocate attention to those different media types. And I think we're going through a really interesting time right now. 26 to 2030 is going to be another wonderful era in business where things will change, but people like us that adapt will continue to surf the upside of it.
More bars, more and more bars. I'm blessed. Yeah, no, we'll wrap this up. We need to have like our actual, discussion outside of cameras and stuff. But do you want to talk about your book real quick?
Yeah.
It's a real quick plug. It hasn't launched, right?
It's not launched. I'm
Okay.
actually here writing it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, so I have a book coming out Q4 this year. It's called Undeniable Social Proof: How to Create Content That Proves Everything That You say is true. And we are turning 20 years old in May. And so I've decided, after 20 years of running the business profitably every year, to write up everything that I've learned. And ultimately, it comes down to 9 media formats, 9 types of social content that ironically were around before even social media was a thing. But we talk about how any founder or any business can create undeniable social proof through their content, which is, there are so many claims on the internet right now. I think we're going through a bit of a trust recession online. We don't necessarily trust with what we see. And so the question is, what types of media can you produce individually and in combination that will prove that what you say is true? Whether you claim to be the best lawyer or making the most impact on water wells in East Africa, whatever it may be, there are ways to communicate that to people both online and offline. And that's the central thesis, which is what I call the great IRL URL gap. Most of my clients are doing really well in real life, IRL, and they're making millions of pounds or dollars or dirhams. But online, URL, the evidence just isn't there, which is a problem, because if anybody wants to then work with them and they're going to do due diligence, and anybody who's got a lot of money will do due diligence before they spend with somebody, and they go online and it doesn't back up what that person told them, then business is lost every single day. Leads, opportunities, referrals, sales, talent all go into this IRL URL gap. And so we talk about closing the IRL URL gap with Undeniable Social Proof. I'm very excited for it to come out. I can't wait to get you some early copies to send out to your friends, and I appreciate your support, and congratulations to you, man. I'm proud of you, man. Those that take action are the few. There's a very famous interview with me and the RZA where he says, what we do is rare. Not everyone can do what we do, and so we have an obligation to do it. And whether I did it for 19 years and then you decide to do it, and then you do it for 3 years and the next man decides to do it, the point is that we're leading by example, and now you're part of that fraternity. So I'm very proud of you, bro.
There you have it. The famous Raj Kotecha. Yeah, we're gonna get to. He's gonna get to his food. I'm gonna do some more of these vlogs later with some other people in the city. So you might see some more of the same fit. My bad if it looks weird. But yeah, man, shout out to Raj, bro. Like, if it wasn't for this guy, and like honestly, the book he's plugged just now that he's writing, he pitched it to me in December, like 5 months ago, and it's probably the reason why we're having this conversation and I'm doing this shit right now. So pay attention to this guy, look out for him, and I'll see you on another vlog.